Hello and welcome to another edition of News Showcase. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. The leader of the Telugu Desam party, Chandrababu Naidu, was sworn in as the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh state this morning. His ministers also took the oath along with him in Amaravati. His ally, the Janasena party's Pawan Kalyan, is expected to be the state's deputy chief minister. Naidu's alliance, which includes the BJP, swept the polls, winning 164 seats and handed out a crushing defeat to the outgoing government of Jagan Mohan Reddy. Polls to the state legislature were held along with the national elections. Prime Minister Narendra Modi took part in the event. His federal government is dependent on Naidu's support in parliament to stay in power. Modi's top ministers were also present at the ceremony.
Nara Chandrababu Naidu ane nenu దైవ సాక్షిగా ప్రమాణం చేస్తున్నాను.
కొనిదాల పవన్ కళ్యాణ్ గారు
కొనిదెల పవన్ కళ్యాణ్ అనే నేను ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ రాష్ట్ర మంత్రిగా దైవ సాక్షిగా ప్రమాణం చేస్తున్నాను.
In the state of Odisha, Mohan Charan Maji was sworn in as chief minister. The tribal leader is the state's first chief minister from the BJP. The BJP unseated the Biju Janata Dal of Naveen Patnaik in a resounding performance, winning 78 of the 147 seats in the recent election. Reports said Maji personally visited Patnaik and invited him to attend the event. About 67 platoons of police were deployed to the state's capital, Bhubaneswar, for the ceremonies. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his senior ministers are scheduled to take part in the events. At least 35 people were killed in an early morning fire that broke out at a building housing workers in southern Kuwait. Police in Mangaf city said the incident was reported to the authorities at 6 in the morning. Kuwaiti Health Ministry said 4 of the approximately 43 hospitalized patients were reported to have perished. It was unclear if the 4 deaths were on top of the 35 that the police had stated. According to police, the house was used to accommodate workers and there were many of them in it. Authorities said that the fire had been extinguished and that they were trying to find out what caused the fire. The population in the tiny Gulf state is dominated by migrant workers, both skilled and unskilled, from various countries. An Indian soldier and 2 insurgents have been killed in 2 separate gun battles in Jammu and Kashmir region. Police said the guerrillas were involved in the fight in Kathua, in which the paramilitary soldier was killed. In the second battle in Doda, which is considered to be a safe area, 5 Indian troops and an officer were injured. Reports in the morning said the gun battle was still on. The clashes come just days after insurgents ambushed a civilian bus carrying Hindu pilgrims in the region. The bus crashed into the hillside, killing 9 passengers. The attack on the bus triggered a widespread search by government forces. The increase in attacks by insurgents has raised concerns among civilians and the administration. Kashmir's top politician Farooq Abdullah has said talks are the only way forward to address the menace of insurgency. Abdullah, who heads the political group, the National Conference, cited the situation in Ukraine and Gaza as an example and said that military action is not the solution. He seemed to indicate that the Kashmir people do not want violence and India and Pakistan should sit down for talks to resolve all issues between them. India has maintained that Pakistan was backing insurgents who infiltrate over the border to carry out attacks in Kashmir. The recent attacks come just weeks before the Amarnath Yatra, a major Hindu religious event in the region.
Today, United Nations Security Council has taken up now that between Hamas and the Israelis, they will have to find a solution. And this is the way we find that in India also. Unless we talk to our neighbors, we will not be able to solve the problem that we have here. We need to come out of these situations. How long will we face these tragedies?
The Indian Army is set to appoint a new chief who is expected to take charge later this month. Lieutenant General Upendra Dwivedi, who is the current Vice Chief of the Army, will succeed General Manoj Pandey. Lieutenant General Dwivedi studied at the Sainik School, attended the National Defense College and the U.S. Army War College. He holds 2 master's degrees in military science and strategic studies, as well as a M.Phil in defense and management studies. He was commissioned into the infantry in 1984, and during his 40-year career, he was decorated with some of the prestigious military titles. According to reports, Lieutenant General Dwivedi will take command of the world's 4th largest army on the 30th of June. A senior Hamas official has said that while the organization has submitted its response to a US-backed plan for a ceasefire in Gaza, it still needs an Israeli commitment to a long-term truce. In a statement on Tuesday, Hamas demanded a complete halt to hostilities in Gaza. The organization and its supporters from Palestinian Islamic Jihad declared their readiness to positively negotiate a settlement in a statement. The UN Security Council approved the proposed ceasefire on Monday. Qatar and Egypt, which have been involved in the mediation, have confirmed Hamas's response to the truce plan. The plan presented by President Joe Biden last month involves a 6-week ceasefire initially, with some hostages released by Hamas and an unspecified number of Palestinian detainees released by Israel. Hunter Biden, the son of U.S. President Joe Biden, has been found guilty of lying about using illegal drugs when he applied to buy a gun. A 12-member jury at Wilmington in Delaware, the hometown of the Bidens, found him guilty of all 3 charges. He became the first child of a sitting U.S. president to be found guilty of an offense. President Biden has said he respected the verdict. In an earlier statement, the president said he would not pardon his son, whose trial revealed embarrassing information as the prosecution attempted to prove he was abusing crack cocaine when he purchased the firearm. The verdict triggered an exchange of bitter comments from the Democrats and the Republicans, who face off in the presidential election later this year. An Austrian Airlines plane suffered major damages after it was struck by a hailstorm recently. Hail broke the cockpit windows and tore off the front nose cone of the airplane, which was traveling from Spain to Vienna, the capital of Austria. The pilot of the Airbus A320 aircraft was forced to make an emergency landing before sending out a mayday call. Several passengers claimed that the aircraft rocked violently during the event, and one of them told Austrian media that pieces of the nose cone that had been destroyed could be seen flying past the aircraft. Austrian Airlines said in a statement that the incident happened as the plane went into a thunderstorm that was not visible on the weather radar. The United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations says a tiny vessel struck a merchant ship that reported an incident in the Red Sea on Wednesday. 2 anonymous maritime sources reported that the engine room was struck in what seemed to be a targeted attack on the vessel. According to British security company Ambre, the event happened about 68 nautical miles southwest of the port of Hodeida in Yemen. As a show of support for the Palestinians in the conflict between Israel and Hamas, Houthi militants, who have control of the capital and most populated regions of Yemen, have attacked foreign vessels in the Red Sea region since November. This has prompted retaliatory strikes since February by the US and British forces. The leaders of the world's most developed democracies are set to discuss issues at the G7 summit, which opens in Italy on Thursday. Heads of governments have begun their journey for the 3-day conference in Puglia. The situation in the Middle East and Ukraine, trade imbalances with China, the dangers of artificial intelligence, and the difficulties facing African development are expected to dominate the event. Reports said President Joe Biden is likely to meet Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky before addressing a joint press conference. The G7 summit also faces 2 key electoral issues. France and Germany are recovering from severe losses in the recent European elections, and in the UK, polls suggest that British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak will probably lose in the national election next month. Reports say US billionaire Elon Musk has requested that a California court drop his lawsuit against OpenAI and its CEO, Sam Altman. The suit was about the company abandoning its original goal of creating artificial intelligence for the good of humanity instead of profit. Musk's attorneys filed a filing requesting the months-old case to be withdrawn, but they did not provide an explanation for the action. It comes just a day before the ChatGPT developers' request to have the lawsuit dismissed was scheduled to be heard by the court. This week, Musk threatened to ban iPhones across his companies after Apple announced a collaboration with ChatGPT to improve its operating systems and Siri speech assistant. Thank you for watching. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. Do tune in, same time tomorrow, for a roundup of the latest news and updates in India and around the world.